A new awareness among black people.
This institution is like many other institutions, which means it's a racist institution.
The most unprotected person in America is the black woman.
For a black person to get an education in this country, you gotta have a lot of guts.
Black.
Hi, I'm CICI and you are joining me here at Unspoken. You're about to enter what I like to call the black safe space. This is the place where we just get together, we talk about black stuff, the black community, from education to work, you name it, we're talking about it. So make sure you're following on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're about to talk about mentoring in the black community, and I'm joined here with Mervyn Mensah, who will be taking us on a journey about how important mentoring is in our community. Mervyn, welcome. Hi. Thank you for being here.
Great.
So tell me a little bit about some of the work that you're doing at the moment.
Right, okay, so a lot of the work I do at the moment is around raising aspirations, changing behaviour and increasing the confidence of the young people that we find mainly in the education system.
And what made you get into that? Are you working for an organisation or are you just doing this independently?
No, I'm doing this independently. I'm doing this by myself. I mean, I've worked with young people on and off for the last 12 years. That's included doing voluntary work within Feltham Young Offenders, workshops in schools for stop smoking programs, as well as various different social services. So I've taken a lot of that experience and professionalism, along with my own personal experience, and put it together. And what I've done is been able to develop these talks where I can go in there. So it's completely off my own back. It's my name. And when I go in there, I'm representing myself. And fortunately, I've seen it begin to really progress, and it's gathering speed, as you've seen as well. Yeah,
it's looking good. And I think one of the things I'm really interested in is why mentoring. Why do you think that that's such a key thing that we need right now?
I think it's a key thing because when we think about, I mean, I'm from a slightly different generation, to obviously the young people that we see in schools now, and there's that phrase which says something along the lines of, it takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
And I think that when I go into the schools and I see these young people, these young boys, these young girls, I see a bit of me in them. And I see a lot of the things that maybe I didn't have. Like, what would I go back and tell my 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old self, And a lot of us as adults, it'll be fair to say that a lot of us could say, if we could go back in time
and do things
different. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Knowing what I know
now,
I would do things different.
Right. How many times have we heard that?
Exactly.
Right.
And they said it to me when I was younger, but you don't get it until you're older.
Right.
So what I want to be able to do then is give them that opportunity by taking a lot of the mistakes I've made, the experiences I've had, and deliver it to these young people. So hopefully they'll be able to take something from it and apply it to their lives and do something slightly different that will help them to be a success in their lives. And
particularly around the black community, do you think that there isn't enough mentoring going on? Is that why you sort of jumped in and you saw a need and a gap that you wanted to fill?
I think what it is it doesn't always reach the mainstream news. And to be honest, when I go into Feltham Young Offenders, I do my voluntary work in there, the unfortunate thing, and I've got to be real and say it, is that the majority of the boys I'm talking to are young black boys.
What is it about our community where there's just something missing? There's a missing link. What is it?
Question I keep asking myself.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit like a bowl full of all these different ingredients.
It's not just one thing, really.
Yeah, it's not just one thing. I think history's got a huge part to play.
It plays a huge role.
Yeah. I think the Western society that we're living in, that's also got a part to play. Yeah. I think us as a group, a community, we've got a part to play.
Yeah, for sure.
Breakdown in our relationships. I mean, in my growing up, my parents, I didn't grow up in a home where both my parents were together. The relationship broke down.
Right.
And it's something that we see quite often.
Right. And with the people that you're mentoring, is that a common?
It is. I would say that the majority of people, especially in the prison that I've spoken to, they're also in a home where their parents aren't together.
Right.
And there is that breakdown. And sometimes you've got siblings from different mothers or fathers and what have you. And sometimes both parents aren't able to play that role in their lives, for whatever reason.
And you mentioned mainly young black boys. Do girls also need mentoring more?
I mean, to be fair, I haven't done a great amount of work targeted at girls. A lot of it is to do with identity, and not just necessarily like, you know, identity in a way of my ethnicity, but in terms of like value.
Exactly.
Do you know
and
what I'm saying?
knowing your worth.
Right.
Because it's like they don't even value life anymore. It's just,
Yeah.
it's sad when you hear young people saying they've got friends that have died and they
Yep.
don't even seem that shocked. It's almost
Yeah.
normalised.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things, but
So how do you tackle it? Like, is it just day by day, step by step, or are you kind of going in and trying to tackle it all at the same time? Or what's your process?
my process is engaging the schools. The second thing is about changing behaviour. Now, behaviour is only a reflection of what's going on up here. So what I'm there to do as well, when I have these talks, when I have these coachings and I do the workshops, is to basically help to raise awareness about their thinking.
And guiding them, pointing them in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And with that being done, it then helps them to develop confidence. A lot of young people will say is that I'm not confident, but then I would always put it back on them and say, is there anything that you are good at? And a lot of the time there's many things. And I say, well, would you say that you're confident in it? Yeah. Right, so what we got to do is take that confidence and begin to apply it to the other areas that you maybe might not feel as confident in. So it's not that you're not confident, it's just that you haven't become competent in those areas. And that's what I want to help them with.
Right.
So I guess in answer to your question, I've answered it in a bit of a roundabout way, is that's my main strategy of getting in there and doing that work with them and getting to know them, building that rapport.
Right, yeah. And building that relationship and that trust as well, because they have to
100%.
trust you to open up.
Yeah.
And how do you get like people to feel that confidence to speak to you? What is it that you're showing?
I think it's important to just be a little bit vulnerable. So when I go into a school, I'll always tell my own story.
Right.
I'd always tell give them an account of what happened while I was younger and how I grew and the mistakes that I made and the things I got involved in, and just be as transparent as I can. And the reality is that in doing that, the barriers come down. Because when I walk in there, the first thing they're thinking is, why should I listen to this guy?
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
They got their backs up.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? If they're not feeling what you're saying, right, they'll just start talking.
It's done. They can see right through.
They'll take their phones out right there and then, and they'll, they've lost interest. You've lost them.
Yeah.
So my main thing is, and earlier on in my career, there was times where I did that and I had to learn from my mistakes.
Right.
So I guess it's about very quickly building that rapport, very quickly letting them know that you are there for them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, and it's not just young people, but people in general, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
And if you can demonstrate that you genuinely do care, they're more likely to take a little bit of interest and hear what you're saying. Yeah.
And it happens in a split second, that moment of
Yeah.
that trust. It's either you've got it or you don't.
Yeah.
So once you've nailed it,
Yeah.
that's a really good place to be.
Yeah.
But in terms of mentoring, can anybody be a mentor, do you think? Or is it can you have people in your family mentor you, or is it best to kind of just seek outside external support?
I think mentoring kind of can fluctuate on different levels. I see it as being a mentor is you being able to pass on something that you're experienced in, something that you're talented in or knowledgeable in, and passing it on to someone else.
But I think one of the things that you said, which was really interesting, is just about that trust. And actually, I think in the Black community, trust is a huge issue.
Yeah.
How do we break down that barrier?
My response is bit by bit. I think young people are a bit fed up of people telling them what to do.
They just want to be heard. Yeah. And that's a big part of it.
There's a mentor in you as well, isn't there?
It's there, I feel it.
Yeah. I think that it's definitely wanting to be heard.
Generally, one of the issues in the Black community is a lot of the times we just don't have the platform to say anything. We're just fed information, but we don't actually get a safe space like this to speak about things.
And there's a lot of things that young people want to. I get educated by young people.
Yeah.
I get educated
because they're in the know. They know the young ones. They know the technology.
Yeah. And they've got some ideas. They've got some ideas that really, will just take off.
Yeah.
And I guess we're kind of like from a similar generation, right? Yeah. And
listen, man, I'm younger than you, right? Don't even. I'm millennial.
You're a millennial, yeah? Back in the day when sometimes you've got an idea or you've got something you want to say,
I know what you mean.
You're just told, shut up.
Shut up. Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
You know, for us, you know, growing up, it was difficult to have ideas and express yourself.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? And young people, they're full of so many ideas, man. Like, they're the most amazing people on the planet.
It's true.
Do you know
it's
what I
true.
mean?
They're the next generation.
They are the
They're
next
our
generation.
future doctors and
Yes.
whatnot. Come on
There's
now.
a word called listen, right?
Yeah.
But if we move those letters around, yeah, it spells the word silence.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
How
yeah.
long did it take you to figure that one out?
Just now.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and when I mean silence, I don't mean say nothing at all.
Yeah.
But when the young person's saying what they're saying,
Right.
it's like, by me, okay, it's your time to talk. I'm going to take a
Just
back.
keep it. Yeah. Let you have the
Yeah.
floor.
Right, yeah.
Right, right.
Ask them ask them the questions, you know, like, so what do you think about that? And letting them talk. And
That's true.
they feel back, like, wow, my guy is actually interested in what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, and I think that is part of the culture that we need to change. In that, like you said, back in the day, it was be quiet. You know, you sit over there. But actually, we need to let these young people have a space to voice.
We definitely.
And actually, that's the root of their frustrations.
Yeah.
That is the root of a lot of their frustration. So to sum up, I guess, what would be kind of, as we've been talking, I've been thinking about some of the sort of 3 key points that we can take away from this conversation. And one of the things that really jumped out at me, what you said, is about feeling heard. And I think that is something that the Black community, we really need to work on, listening to each other, and actually not only listening to each other, but supporting each other in that as well. And that ultimately, I feel like that equation is what will then build up the trust that we don't even have.
Yeah.
And obviously you as a mentor, you've kind of shown that that actually works when you're listening and you're taking in what is that young person is saying.
Yeah.
It equals trust. And we can take that, that formula and actually apply that to us as Black people.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Because we've all got our differences,
Yeah.
even as Black people. When I was growing up, you know, it was like, as a Ghanaian, stay away from these Jamaican boys. You know what I mean? But I've got a Jamaican wife.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? It's the differences that we've got to celebrate. You're never too young to teach and never too old to learn.
Excellent. I'll leave it there. That's a great point.
Is
Thank
that,
you.
is that the drop the mic
That was
moment?
a drop. You just dropped it. That's it from us. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to find out where you can find Mervyn, the links are below. Comment, share, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Thanks for watching.